Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Pedro is taking no more questions on Kenny Miller as he prepares for Motherwell in the League Cup semi-final. Brendan Rodgers says, "I'll do it my way." Neil Lennon says beating Celtic in Saturday's League Cup semi-final is a tall order. Yeah, just a few of the talking points on the programme tonight. League Cup semi-finals will dominate the early part of the programme. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. And it's Friday. Hugh MacDonald here, resplendent, all of us wearing a little bit of red to show our support for Show Racism the Red Card, which is ongoing over the next couple of weeks, not only in football, but many sports. So, let's have a look at the morning papers. The back page headlines for Friday. Hod the bus. Brendan Rodgers saying you've got the wrong coach if you think I'm going to park the bus in games in the Champions League. And also Bruno Alves there quoted as saying he reckons Pedro can lead Rangers to cup glory. In the Sun, similar situation with Brendan Rodgers, and Graham Souness saying David Moyes is the ideal candidate as the new Scotland manager. And the Daily Mail, well, there's a picture of the fracas at Goodison Park last night. Everton and Lyon players and a fan as well, which has got Everton into some trouble. And also just a sidebar there from Lee Wallace talking about the need for any feud between Rodgers and Kenny Miller. He hopes that it has come to an end. So there you have it, and there's the sport for the Courier, and Neil McCann upbeat ahead of that trip to Firhill. It's a huge game for Partick Thistle as well as Dundee. Thistle probably more so because desperately trying to get a win. We're going to talk about that a little later on in the programme. So, Pedro Caixinha getting Rangers ready for the match against Motherwell on Sunday. He's trying to stay focused on the game, but it's proving very difficult. Today, once again, he was asked about questions on Kenny Miller, and he was having none of it.
My thoughts about that is that I've been speaking about the last 3 weeks on it, and I'd just like to place a period in all those conversations.
Will Kenny be in the squad for this weekend?
Period.
But you do understand by not talking about this, it does fuel the speculation?
Period in Portuguese means ponto final, means finish. No more further questions.
Okay, he's getting a little tetchy about it.
Yeah, it's a situation of his own making as well. It's not been handled right by him. And it's all right him to say no more questions, but that's not the way you know and I know it. That's not the way it goes. I mean, you can say, I'm not answering that, but you can't say to people, don't ask questions, because people will just continue to ask questions. I think the whole thing should have been much more clear at the beginning, much more transparent. The whole thing is now, it really has got a narrative of its own. It's got a momentum of its own, which could have been killed early doors. It absolutely could have been killed early doors. Strangely enough, there'll be a lot of Rangers fans who have no problem at all about Kenny Miller not being in the squad because he wasn't playing that well before. But it's because of so much else round about it. But this is a story that won't go away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if anything, it will certainly not be as big a boil that needs to be lacerated if Rangers keep winning. If they win at the weekend, people will start to slowly but surely forget about it. I mean, the big question is, is he in the squad for the weekend? That's another thing that will gather pace, as Hugh rightly points out.
Yeah, and Hugh's right. You know, people ask questions, you want answers, and he could have done it there and then. You know, could have just put it to bed and said he's not going to be in the squad. You're saying everybody's going to be hanging about waiting to see if he is going to be in the squad, but he could have nipped it there. He could have said no, because you don't want to be talking about this. You don't want it all over the papers with the game on Sunday. You want to be getting into the game free of everything else that's run about the game, and he's failed to do that.
And of course, let's not forget the small matter of Motherwell, and they are on a good run of form and feeling really confident ahead of this one. Stephen Robinson clearly confident in the way the team are playing at the moment, and of course he has mentioned that all the expectation is on Rangers.
Yeah, listen, I don't worry about what works against them. We're against them, so we've got 11 players against them. And if it puts the expectation on them, which it is, there's massive expectation on them. We're just turning up apparently. So hopefully that works in our favour. But we have to concentrate very much on what we do. And what we bring to it and what we've done for the last 15 games of the season. We have to continue to do that and not drop our standards. And if we do that, then it'll make for an interesting game.
Yeah, I don't think you can write them off. I mean, he's having a little dig at people who clearly feel as if they're just there to make up the numbers.
Yeah, that's perfect press conference stuff, that, isn't it? This is saying, people that said we're here to make up the numbers. So he's galvanises his own squad. He's been very humble, placed all the expectations on Rangers. I mean, we shouldn't even be in the same competing with Rangers because of the disparity in budgets. I think. Rangers are in for a test on Sunday. I don't know what the score, whatever the score's going to be, they will come off that part bruised. They might have come off that part with a comfortable victory, but they will come off bruised because the way that Motherwell are going to be going about this game, I think almost certainly, is to hit long diagonals towards two guys up top, probably target Cardoso, who's not been the most convincing centre-back of late, and really, as in the old expression, get right in about them, and that's Rangers will know that there's been a contest on Sunday. I think, by the way, both semi-finals are looking to be really good matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there is the small matter of booking your place in the final and ultimately landing the first piece of domestic silverware of the season before the year is out. Bruno Alves seems fairly confident that Pedro Caixinha can lead them to cup glory.
He's very methodic, He's very focused. He wants to win. He brings also Portuguese football with him, the mentality, the capacity, and I think this is important in a coach, to have these qualities, and we expect that the coach lead us to the victory, because this is what is important, because in football we have coaches that makes you win.
Well, I think one positive out of this, there are a number of players that do buy into to what he's preaching at the moment, Ruffy. They've had a couple of good results. The St Johnstone one, maybe they didn't get as much credit as they should have.
Well, both teams are getting into the game, which, as Hugh said, will make it a really good semi-final. Both of them are coming off a good wins. I just think that for me, it's... if Motherwell turn up on the day, I've seen so many teams like Motherwell get into a semi-final and not producing the goods that they've been doing since they got there. So I think as far as the manager's concerned, he'll want his players to turn up. And if Motherwell turn up, they will give Rangers a game. There's no doubt about that. I just have a big worry, obviously, the amount of Rangers supporters that are there. Because if Rangers go and score the first goal with 38,000 behind you, there's only one way I think that game's going to turn out, because the players will be up for it. If it goes the opposite way, if Motherwell score first with 38,000 people not too happy, then you've got a reaction from both sets, but it's Rangers that have got to react to it.
Yeah, just one defeat in 8 for Motherwell, going great guns at the moment. And of course, Carol McHugh has been singing the praises of the manager, Stephen Robinson.
I think the manager has to take a lot of the credit for that. He's completely changed the attitude in the club. The work ethic, as I've said, and he's brought good characters in, good players as well, and we've really gelled off the pitch. And there's just a real desire in the squad just to get better every day, work hard in training, listen to the manager, and as you see in the way we play, we really run hard for each other, we scrap for each other, we fight for each other, and if you do that and you leave everything out there, you give yourself a great chance and you have no regrets.
Yeah, I think they deserve a fair bit of credit, because even at the start of the season I had my doubts about where they were going from the transition from Mark McGee to Stephen Robinson, but he seems to be his own man.
You'd be a fool not to have doubts, Peter. I mean, he ships 16 or 17 players out and he brings in 16 or 17. I mean, that is, I don't care who you are, that's a gamble. Nobody knows that's going to work. You take a chance on it. The gamble's been fulfilled, I think. He's got a very sort of steady, straightforward ethos in the way he wants to play the game. people will say it's direct long ball. I think it's just simply playing to his strengths, particularly Mill up front. I was there last week doing a couple of interviews there ahead of the semi-final. The feeling I got around the club was complete relaxation about this match, complete expectation and enjoyment about it. It's a fascinating match on Sunday.
Yeah, who's winning it for you, Hugh?
I think Motherwell got a shout, and I think if they exploit Cardoso, if Motherwell exploit Cardoso with Mole, I think they could win.
Yeah, are you tipping them to win?
On that, yeah, I could. I think Motherwell can win the game narrowly.
Yeah. I've already said I've Rangers by the odd
Yeah, but I
goal.
just had to check because sometimes you know what you're like, Ruffy. You change from time to time. It's a long day.
Still tomorrow.
Yeah.
Still tomorrow to go. But this moment, I have Rangers 2-1.
2-1. Okay, there you are. So that's the first semi-final we've heard from the Rangers and Motherwell camp. We're now going to switch our attention to the second semi-final. It's an early kick-off tomorrow, 12:15. We're going to hear from Brendan Rodgers, Callum McGregor, Neil Lennon and David Gray. It's the battle of the Greens. It's Hibernian against Celtic. You've got a manager who's standing by his principles and a manager who just has to convince his players once again they can go back to Hampden and win silverware. They were a fantastic side. I think that's one of my most enjoyable programmes over the 4 or 5 years we've been doing this, Ruffy. When Alec Cropley and I think John Blackley came in to chat, that was a team that could easily have won 3, 4, 5 league titles.
Well, as we can see now in the modern day, Aberdeen are getting to finals. That's Hibs. Got to a final every year, whether it was a Dryborough Cup, a League Cup or a Scottish Cup. That's the kind of players that they had there, and they were fantastic to watch.
And remember, they were losing titles to a Celtic team that was playing in European finals and European semi-finals, and a Rangers team that was getting to European finals as well. That's the best team in my lifetime not to have won a league in Scotland, without any shadow of doubt, is the early 70s Hibs team.
Yep, I can't disagree with you. This side is, I'm not going to compare them, that's first and foremost before you think I'm going to. This side is a useful side. I'm wondering, if anything, what they lack. The confidence seems to be growing in them, but is there something else that Neil Lennon needs to try and drive into them, Ruffy, to get them to think, one, they can beat Celtic, two, they can replicate the Scottish Cup, because they can do it on their day.
No, I don't think he'll need to convince them that much after they went to Parkhead and got 2 each. They'll possibly thought they should have won that game. He'll look at the positives from that, and the big positive is the boy McGinn. If the boy McGinn turns it on, as he did at Parkhead, then they've got a chance. I just worry a wee bit them defensively. Obviously their 2 best centre halves are still injured, unless one of them makes an appearance. But I think midfield and up front, they've got something to offer, and I think they will give Celtic problems, particularly, Celtic coming back. They've only been back a day, obviously rested. There will be injuries, there will be some players feeling it. They did some amount of chasing over in Germany, and it might be the case that they might have to hang on until the last 20-25 minutes and maybe get the better of them fitness-wise, because some of I know Celtic have got players on the bench they can bring on. But I think for me, the main thing for Neil Lennon is he'll be telling his players, remember Parkhead a couple of weeks ago, 2 each, could have won it, nothing to fear.
And of course Neil Lennon will be trying to get across to the players to seize on any tiredness from that Celtic side after chasing quite a number of Bayern Munich players throughout the 90 minutes. But even then, the Hibs boss admits defeating the cup holders is a tall order.
There's obviously fatigue. It's a big ask, to play on a Wednesday night and then get yourself back up again for a 12-15 kick-off. I understand Brendan's frustrations that I've experienced them myself, and when I managed Celtic, and it's probably always a good time to try and play them, without them having a midweek game. So again, if there's any advantage we can take, we must utilise that as best we can.
So that's Hibs. As for Celtic, I think coming off the back of that game, He's had a bit of criticism. I've spoken to a number of former players and managers as well about the result in midweek, Hugh. The general consensus is maybe because this is a team that had won the Champions League not that long ago, maybe as a manager you have to have plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan B against a team of that calibre should have been to be a little bit more defensive. But, you know, I think Brendan's digging his heels in on that criticism.
Yeah, it's a hugely interesting one, isn't it? It's a hugely interesting one about philosophy. You know, I think still if they dig in, they're going to get beat. You know, I think you just have to look at Bayern's results. This is a team that this year has you know, beat Arsenal 5-1 there. You know, let's be honest, they don't lose games in the Alliance Arena generally, and against teams, they've duffed up better teams than Celtic, to be frank. And I always thought, I mean, my initial reaction would be to agree with that, you know, would to say, like, you know, not quite part of the bus, but play defensively and try and minimise damage and all that. But the more and more I'm thinking about this, I keep thinking to myself, well, it's not going to work anyway. So is he building up a whole culture of Celtic, like, you know, from first team down to bottom, right down to the Colts? This is the way Celtic play. No matter who the opposition is, and we'll build a culture of this, and we'll build a comfort of this. For example, I've got a different take on this from what has been put out in social media. For example, I think Celtic's Champions League campaign this year has been a roaring success. And people say, how can you say that? They could beat 5-0 by one team, 3 going on 7 by another. Simply because they're overachieved.
Yeah.
They're going to play, they're almost certainly, 99% certain, they're going to play in the Europa League after Christmas. That's overachieving.
Yeah, but I would say one thing to you, don't gauge any great success on opinion on the basis of what social media is saying, Hugh. No. I think when you get a sense of perspective about it, a lot of people are turning around and saying, yep, the objective at the start of this, before they kicked a ball against Paris Saint-Germain, before they kicked a ball against Bayern Munich, see if they can finish third. So objective, I think, I agree with you, is achieved. All people are doing at the moment is just analysing and offer their critique on that game and how it all panned out. I mean, anybody to suggest Celtic were going to finish second needs help.
Oh, absolutely. But the other thing as well, I hear, you know, there's a big argument about the centre half. Celtic buying, you should have bought a centre half in the summer. And you go, right, fair enough. I mean, Brendan Rodgers can say, well, I've had 3 injured and all that. So say buys and all. Is anybody really seriously saying to me that Celtic buying a centre half would have any effect whatsoever on what happened against Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich? No. And the other thing as well, somebody keeps saying, but they had to move Lustig in one. You see, anybody thinking, I think it's absolutely risible to think that Lustig would have kept Coman out of the game.
No, they're not, Hugh. But what they are saying, and I think this is a legitimate criticism, is, you know, they had the chance, Ruffy, to buy a centre half. At the end, when you look, you're absolutely right. Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich would have won anyway. But there are certain aspects of the game when you look at it, analyse it, and be critical of it. You say they've shifted Lustig in. Gambo is not up to the mark. He's not even at the level where you put the shackles on. And remember, by the way, Hugh, if I had to show you a photograph of Neil Lennon's Celtic team that played against Barcelona, they were no great shakes. There was a lot of players in there. I mean, Mido, I'd have to point out to Celtic fans who he was. Miku, yeah. I mean, you're looking, you're saying to yourself, I mean, even I get his name wrong there, that tells you everything.
But they were set up in a different way. They were set up to shove Barcelona inside and get a result that way.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get that every now and again. But I think what Rodgers is saying, like Brendan Rodgers is saying, this is my philosophy. This is the philosophy I want to infect the whole club. I actually think as well the level of and I think Champions League results are showing it. The guys at the top now are so much better than underneath. The 3 substitutes Bayern Munich put on were Rafinha, James Rodriguez, and the Chilean Vidal. I mean, you say to yourself, those 3 guys, £150 million worth.
Yeah, easily.
And you say to yourself, yes, you can compete by trying to negate. But I honestly think when you go down to the pitches and you say this is the 26 players, the first 14 picks, 14 from goalie right through to subs, are all going to be buying.
Well, I did mention to Ruffy.
So then, Hugh, do you know, say to yourself, right, they've got better players, maybe I should be buying better players? Not to compete with them, but to be better.
Yeah,
better than I mean, like a guy was saying to me the other day, Celtic have had 5 years in the Champions League at 30 million a year. It's 150 million. You haven't improved the players.
They have had 5 years at 130 million. They've
No,
only
30 million.
Just
30 million a year.
Yeah,
They
for a couple of years.
They haven't splashed it.
Yes, they have. That's the funny thing.
They have.
Well, they have. It's not like you don't think they have. They actually have.
Well, listen.
But in the
I mean,
quality
we could argue over whether it's legitimate for Celtic to look and spend £5 and £6 million on a player. So you could argue that, you know, of the hefty fees that they have paid out, whether they've got value for money. That's a whole programme. I think what the crux of this issue is quite simply Brendan Rodgers has said, this is the philosophy, I'm not for turning.
Like I say, that this is a level where for us it's about constant development, really. You know, we're on the right path in terms of, you know, where we were 15, 16 months ago. The whole objective was clearly to get to the Champions League. And now obviously the questions have been asked to compete against the likes of PSG and Bayern Munich in the group, and questions are asked against that. Now we want to be competitive at the Champions League level, of course, but I'm also very realistic in terms of what we're competing against.
I think he makes a great point there on the basis that, quite simply, anyone who suggests that they're going to compete to actually defeat them, you get the odd rumble in the jungle, Hugh.
Yeah, of course you do.
I suggested to him we've got it in the neck on this programme, on our social media, on the basis of it's once in a blue moon to qualify for the last 16.
It was once in a blue moon to qualify for the Champions League. This idea there's been 5 successive Champions League campaigns is just simply wrong.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the Celtic books, they'll tell you how much money's come in and how much has been spent. And there's money actually, big money being spent at Celtic on players. People forget the amount of money, the amount of money in wages, not just transfer fees. There's a lot. Before Rodgers came, how many would be on 20,000 plus at Celtic? Scott Brown, I would say, no one else. How many are on that now? 5, 6 maybe, all now. That's $1.5 million a year.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think, and I'm not for a minute dismissing what you're saying. I agree with you. It's probably certain levels of that little additional bit of quality that Ruffy wants to take down. You know, a number 10, a centre half of 4, 5, 6 million. It's another programme. What Brendan Rodgers has got to do is hope that the players aren't tired as they get ready for a Hibs side brimming with confidence. We're going to hear about that confidence from the Hibs captain, David Gray, and we'll also hear from Callum McGregor, and we'll look to the Premiership as well. I'm not taking any calls from anyone, Hugh, suggesting he might have scored in a pre-season friendly that we haven't added to it.
Interesting one with him is will he start tomorrow? Fresh, after a midfield that spent a lot of time running about on Wednesday. Certainly the most improved player over last year.
I'll tell you what the great battle is for me. I just cannot wait to see it. Brown against McGinn. It should be an absolute cracker. The manager's been singing his praises, and of course the Hibs captain David Gray is talking about not only McGinn but just saying the confidence is rippling through the squad.
We're always confident what we've got in the dressing room. We've been saying it now for the last couple of seasons that we believe we're good enough, and we've got a squad that's good enough to compete at the sort of top end of the Premiership. But it was all right us saying that, but we were always down in the Championship, so it was. We've had good sort of cup runs as well and done well against the Premier League opposition, and we take confidence for what we've got in the dressing room, and we know that in semi-finals anything can happen. There's only 4 teams left that can win it, so why can't it be us?
It's a good point. Sometimes you look at a Hibs side and you think maybe one special player. I think they've got 3 or 4 that are alike. I think it's a game where Stokes needs to step up.
I watched them live at Celtic Park the other week there, and after a first half where Celtic weren't dominant, but you could see we're comfortable. Hibs came on a ton in the second half. They really looked a good, vibrant, energetic, confident side with a great game plan. McGinn was excellent, but so were others. They'll be looking to see them. We've got a real chance tomorrow, particularly with the travel and the fatigue in the legs of Celtic.
Yeah, he mentioned Callum McGregor and whether he might feature or not. If he does, he's buying into the manager's tactics and his philosophy.
I think the manager's got a certain way of playing, and I think the players believe in that as well. You see the success we've had since he came in, and in terms of doing the treble and unbeaten and things like that. And I think that we're getting better in the European competitions when we play that way. So I think he's got a clear structure the way he wants to play, and 100% the players agree with that and they believe in it. So I think we'll keep playing the same way.
Prediction?
Celtic narrowly.
Ruffy?
Yeah, Celtic narrowly for me as well. Another 2-1.
Okay, you can give us your view on that at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. That's the League Cup semi-finals. We'll have a reaction from the Celtic Hibs League Cup semi-final on tomorrow's programme. All you have to do is tune in, 2 o'clock, STV2. We'll take you right through all the games across all 4 divisions in Scotland. Look at the Premier League in England as well as the goals hit the back of the net. Hugh, Ruffy and Gordon Smith will be with me. 2 o'clock. STV2. Let's switch our attention to the Premiership in Scotland. Here's a look at the fixtures on offer tomorrow, and it's Partick Thistle Dundee, Ross County against Hamilton and Hearts against St Johnstone. So 3 games in the Premiership, and Fairhill, it's just one of those games that I think it's nail biting for the Jags fans. Partick Thistle's boss, Alan Archibald, has said, he thinks the board's patience is approaching breaking point. So he's well aware this can't go on. We've already discussed, Ruffy, 3 big games starting with Dundee.
Yeah, I think Alan's sensible enough to know that Partick Thistle need to stay in this league. I think the next 3 games, obviously Dundee, St Johnstone and Hamilton, are massive games. But he's done it before. The players have done it before. It's not the ideal situation going into a game with all that pressure on you. Sometimes it restricts some players to do what they're good at. But I think at the end of these 3 games, depending on how the other teams do as well, I still believe as long as they're within 3 points of somebody, it's not a sackable offence.
Yeah, well, Thomas Cherny, the Thistle goalkeeper's mentioned to you that it's a slump, but it can't continue much longer or they won't be able to produce that Houdini escape act.
Yeah, but as Alan points out, the good news for them, they're not stranded, they're not detached. I think it'll be a league down the bottom. With playoff spot and relegation, it'll go down to the last few matches. So it's not. We know we talk in football all the time in capital-sized letters, and we scream crisis all the time. And I'm aware of the problems facing Alan Archibald, but it's not irredeemable at the moment. I just think it's strange. I mean, apparently, I've watched them a couple of times this season and thought they were okay. I mean, some actually fine, but apparently it was the performance last week that they raised the real alarm bells for Hill. So tomorrow becomes a vital match, a match they've got to win. And again, against the Dundee team that seem to be turning the corner as well. I mean, again. All reports say that Dundee were very, very good against Celtic, should perhaps have got a point. Neil McCann saying perhaps even more. So it's another tough task for them tomorrow.
Yep, and the Dundee manager understands the pressures that Alan Archibald is under.
Alan Archibald had a fantastic season. He's done a great job at Partick Thistle. But I think there's contributing factors, as I said. The injury problem sometimes can hamper you. Lack of confidence when results don't come clearly can have an impact, and that then goes down to maybe just tightening up certain situations. So I understand it. I used to commentate on it and comment on it as a pundit, so you can get an insight there.
Yeah, the insight is quite simply he's got a 5-point gap on them. And as you rightly say, if Brendan Rodgers has an ethos, I think Neil McCann has an ethos in the way he wants his side to play.
Yeah, and it looks as if that ethos is getting across. That's a tough task for Thistle. It's incredible. A year ago, Shrewsbury Town were looking at we're approaching Alan Archibald. The Thistle board were fighting off approaches for the manager. He's the longest serving manager in in Scottish football. He's that for a reason. I think the board are to be commended for sitting by them, but I think they're realistic about standing by them as well. They know what they've got. But yeah, everybody knows it becomes untenable at one point. You know, results dictate everything in football. It's as simple as that.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, who's winning?
I think this will just get a draw.
I think this will win 2-0.
2-0?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know that way? Not that I mean, listen, it's an opinion, you know, I just had to look twice about it, you know, because every week he predicts Thistle will win, but this one...
But if Thistle went to the Lions Arena, right, with Coleman and Lewandowski and Muller and Robin and their pomp, Ruffy would still be saying about 2-1. We dueling double in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, the problem is you've actually just hit the nail on the head there. Maybe Thistle have always looked to the old campaigners, and if they don't deliver, they're in trouble. Hearts against St Johnstone is another match we're keeping our eye on. The reason why I mentioned to you that I was looking at Hearts against St Johnstone is because it's 1 win in 6 for St Johnstone. That's unusual.
Yeah, but and it's strange. Like last Friday night, I watched the game St Johnstone versus Rangers, and I thought Rangers. That's the most convincing performance I think Rangers have put up. Certainly in recent months. Certainly, I think this season they looked as if there was a method about them, a purpose. I thought their big players turned up. Alves at centre half was very commanding when St Johnstone were throwing the ball in. Dorrans was excellent in midfield. And of course, they scored 3 goals. I was disappointed, Peter, with St Johnstone. I didn't think. I mean, they got Anderson sent off for 2 silly fouls, and I just didn't. There was something about St Johnstone that wasn't like St Johnstone, like if you know what I mean. There was almost like a vulnerability about them.
Yeah,
I think the biggest point is O'Halloran hasn't played. I think he's a big player for them. I think he's the kind of player that lifts all the other players round about him, and I think they've missed him badly.
Well, that's not a bad point, Ruffy, because he scored those good goals. You're shaking your head as if to say I very rarely compliment him on these things. He does make a lot of really good points. It's just
not in the show.
It's just the Thistle Hibs one that I feel shaky about with him. You know, I dare not ask him.
Tomorrow, 25.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, Ruffy, I am not going to knock you for it. You make good points. I mean, the
Haaland's an excellent point.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, let's not blow smoke here. Calm down. You'll be getting fat-headed. The Hearts St Johnstone game, obviously not at Tynecastle. They're hoping to get in November 5th. One good thing about Craig Levein, he seems to be giving youngsters their chance to shine in that team. They'll need to shine against St Johnstone, who are desperate to get back on track. And of course, every week we always have Craig Levein and other managers in the Mutual Appreciation Society. This is the Hearts boss talking about Tommy Wright.
I'm a huge admirer of his. I think he's done a fantastic job, and probably what he's done has been underestimated. The more often you do something, people start to take it for granted. And I think the St Johnstone people, I know the owners are appreciative, and I'm sure the supporters are as well. But to finish top 6 and get into Europe as regularly as he's done has been an amazing achievement.
Who wins it?
Hearts, I think, narrowly for me. I just think, but not that Hearts are playing at the top of the game either, but just, as I say, I was a bit doubtful about St Johnstone last week.
I think Jamie Walker's playing well just now, and I think he'll be a big influence in them.
Yeah.
Hearts win.
Okay, what about the Hamilton Accies, Ross County at Dingwall? I'm looking at Accies, I hate to nail this one, but without a win in 6, how do you see that going?
Well, as pointed out, Ross County have got a poor home record. I can see Hamilton going up there and taking a point, because Ross County too haven't been convincing this season. So, yep, Hamilton for a point for me.
No, I'm going to go home win, Ross County. I've a wee bit impressed with them, but I think they've got more to offer, and I think they'll win this one.
Ross County to win?
Yeah.
Okay then, that's just an opinion on the form of the teams. You can give us yours at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. We'll be looking at the lower leagues beyond the Premiership. We're into the Championship, League 1 and League 2 coming up. We'll also be speaking to Ian McGarry, who's heading to the Olympic Stadium as we speak. He'll be giving us his lowdown on the Premier League in England. every Motherwell fan cheering, thinking, yes, remember it. Some remember it well. Some just look back and know exactly when they won specific cups in Scotland. I like the fact that the League Cup now is back to getting, handed out before the year's out.
I think it's been a great move. It keeps a really interesting, vibrant time before Christmas. The way it was before, it was as long as a Russian winter. I mean, it just went and went and went, and eventually we got to the final. So it gives some focus, and there's 2 smashing semi-finals.
Yeah, great. Really looking forward to it over the weekend. What about the Championship? Of course, we've got reporters out at key games across the Premiership and the Championship, as well as covering both League Cup semi-finals. We'll reflect on them in Monday's programme. Here's the fixtures in the Championship. There's probably 2 or 3 games that could lay claim to game of the day. Des McKeown will be out at Falkirk against St Mirren. For us, Falkirk unbeaten in 3, Saints flying high at the top of the table. So there's the Championship for you, Hugh. Falkirk against St Mirren. It's got the makings of a cracker now, because slowly but surely Paul Hartley will have another little bit of time there, but they've got their work cut out.
I think so as well. Slowly, the league's coalescing, I think, and it's showing that Jack Ross, the sort of substance that he's got at St Mirren, they'll be looking to go there, kind of just reinforce their title hopes and win. I think they'll win tomorrow as well. The game for me tomorrow would be Dunfermline Livingston. Because I think I'm very, very interested in how Livingston are progressing, and I'm very interested to see if they can maintain what they've shown so far, and that's a big test for them tomorrow against a good Dunfermline side.
Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about it. We'll get 3 or 4 sides all vying for playoffs, some of them with the ambitions to win it, and in a strange sort of way, I think the only fall guy in this is Ray McKinnon, because Dundee United have one remit, win it, and if you don't, I don't think, I think that board is shaky at the best of times when they come to decisions. They'll look and say, no, you're not the man for the job.
Yeah. Well, we know like the owner is. He's obviously, unfortunately, got a past record. They've been ruthless at that, and again, I don't know if he's at that stage yet, but Dundee United have lost a couple of games there. They thought they should have won. So it depends what his expectation is, and I would agree with you. I think his expectation is to be up in one season, and that obviously as the season goes on, if that doesn't look as if it's going to materialise, he's likely to pull the trigger.
They've got good quality though, Dundee United. I mean, it's Ray McKinnon has, showed up the defence. The defence, I mean, apart from last week, we lost 2 bad goals, but they've got real quality in the final third. I mean, Scott MacDonald in the Championship, when he's up to speed, is just simply too good for that league. James Keating is there. I like McMullen on the left-hand side as well. So that's a good going forward. But I just think it's a really competitive league, and I just think what since Christmas onwards, if you've looked at what Jack Ross has done at St Mirren, they'll really look now becoming the favourites in that league, I think.
Here's the fixtures in League One for Saturday afternoon. And I think the big question is, can anyone stop Wraith Rovers, Ruffy?
I think Stranraer are on a good run just now. I think Stevie Farrell's doing a good job down there. I think Wraith Rovers will go down there and get a very, very tough game. But these are the kind of games that the manager will be saying, look, if we can go to Stranraer and get 3 points, they're obviously, a lot of the other teams are going to cut each other up so early in the season. So they're going to, if they do win, they're going to go further away.
Yeah. I think Wraith Rovers and Ayr United, for me, are by far the strongest teams in that division. I would expect them to fight it out right to the end of the season.
Here's League Two's fixtures for this Saturday. And, this one's slightly tougher because I've looked and we asked Dave Mackay. They're out in front at the moment with a cushion over Stenhousemuir, but he still thinks, the likes of Peterhead will make that, even more interesting. Stenhousemuir, they will push them all the way, Ruffy.
Yeah, and Dave Mackay was doing a Brendan Rodgers yesterday and saying we can't really compete with Peterhead because they've got more money than us, and that's the way the league's going to go. If they're in trouble, then they'll go out and buy new players, of which I can't do. Yeah. So no, he's doing well. He's doing well. Then obviously last week was a bad result in the cup, but he'll be looking for a reaction from his players tomorrow.
Okay, we'll keep across all 4 divisions in Scotland. What about the Premier League in England. Well, here's the fixtures first and foremost. Quite a few tasty games here, especially with Everton against Arsenal. Well, as ever, on a Friday evening, we always like to catch up with our man in the know down south in the Premier League. That's Ian McGarry. I did ask him, first of all, and you'll notice behind him, he's at a very special stadium. He's getting ready for West Ham United against Brighton at the Olympic Stadium. And I asked Ian, first of all, if both sides had maybe differing ambitions.
I think West Ham at this moment in time would take survival, Peter, given that the way they've started the season. Brighton, 8 points out of 8. Never looked out of contention in any of the games that they've played. Remember, they've played Manchester City and Arsenal in that run as well. So I think it'll be an exciting game tonight. Actually fancy Brighton to win it. They've got a very attacking lineup planned, I believe. And West Ham, I think, as we've seen, do not defend well, especially at home. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the big question as far as English football is concerned is, will Ronald Koeman survive over this weekend?
Well, last night didn't help him, did it, in the Europa League game? So I think quite safely say if they lose again this weekend, and remember they're entertaining Arsenal, who are on form, unusually for Arsenal this season. They're on form, and so Everton have not even been very good at home this season, Peter. So people would say, well, you would expect to beat Arsenal. Well, I think at the beginning of the season, the majority shareholder of Everton said that he expected top 6. Now, you have to beat Arsenal if you're going to be top 6, so you've got to beat everyone else as well. So, of course, the shortage of good coaches available right now is probably one reason why Koeman hasn't already lost his job. Carlo Ancelotti's sitting on the sidelines having a sabbatical, but I fancy he might be waiting for a job next summer rather than doing a firefighting job at Goodison Park.
Yep. Other news that I wanted to get your thoughts on. Antonio Conte's come out today, Ian, and he's mentioned the fact that he feels as if, there's no unrest in the background. The players are responding to his coaching and, he refutes any suggestion that the players are exhausted.
He claims, interestingly, that the players were doing 70% less work than last season. Now, if that's the case, I just don't see how that computes with regards to performances, Peter. I don't think you can drop the training intensity that much and still get results. And this is a team which, of course, have now not won a game in 3. Home defeat to Manchester City, away to Crystal Palace, a thrilling 3-3 draw with Roma in Wednesday night's Champions League. But that's not what Chelsea expect. Now, Jose Mourinho was sacked after losing 3 games in a row just a few weeks later. So, big game for Chelsea. Early kick-off tomorrow morning against Watford. I mean, they are at home, so you think home advantage, but as I said, they've now lost 1, drawn 1 in the last 2 home games. Watford, 4th in the Premier League, flying high, probably flatters them, but Marco Silva's a very good organised coach, and he will come to Stamford Bridge expecting to get something.
OK, last point, Ian. Tottenham against Liverpool. We've already heard from Harry Kane saying he's on a 30-man shortlist for the Ballon d'Or. He feels as if he's getting very close to the standard that's required to win that great honour. What do you make of it?
I think he did very well. The performance in Santiago Bernabeu against Real Madrid this week was impressive, if not brilliant. I think he's got some way to go before becoming Ballon d'Or winner. Remember, the 2 men that dominated it in the last 7 years, Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, have won numerous trophies between them over the years, probably in excess of 35 trophies between them. Harry Kane's not won anything. And I think, to be fair, you have to be a winner to win the Ballon d'Or. And therefore, I'd say Kane is very good. He's getting better, very true. I think it'll be a very good game on Sunday. You've got basically attack versus the attack, haven't you, with the Liverpool front 3. And so I would look for goals at Wembley on Sunday. And Harry Kane will most likely be amongst them.
Yeah, and with that in mind, there's only 4 points separates the teams. Is it a home win for you?
Yes. I think home win for Spurs this weekend. I think a away win for Arsenal against Everton, putting Koeman in further trouble.
OK, thanks to Ian McGarry there. Apologies for the wind. Who would have thought Ian McGarry and wind? He'll kill me for that one, but nevertheless. A couple of things I want to mention to you. Manchester United have just given a new contract to Scott McTominay, which is a young player that we hope will feature heavily for Scotland.
Yeah, and good on him. The big question though in Manchester United will be, does Mourinho want a new contract? He's dallying with PSG at the moment. English league always fascinating, Peter, and the managers that are fascinating was Mourinho and Conte at Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. Really last point, and it's a really good point. Juan Mata has this thing called the common goal, where he offers a percentage, 1% of his salary, which is formidable. But Charlie Daniels from Bournemouth, and also Swansea's Alfie Manson, and a number of other players across Europe have all bought into it. What a great idea. It's just basically invest in 120 football-based charities across 80 countries. What a brilliant idea. Well done to Juan Mata.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You know, the players are getting so much money now. They obviously don't know where to put it, but they're putting it in the right place. There's too many poor people out there, so why not help them?
Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, there's a lot of players who do a lot of good work. A lot of them don't want to get the credit for it in the background, but it's nice that that story has come out from Juan Mata of Manchester United. If you're going to a football match, go and conduct yourself in the proper manner. You can see we're wearing red to support the National Wear Red Day for Show Racism the Red Card. Go along to a football match, support your team, and go home safely without abusing anybody racially or with any kind of bigoted abuse either. We're all about loving the game. From everyone here, good night.